Hello, everyone. It's Michelle Maher here again today, and I'm here joined with Mike Gillespie. Thank you so much, Mike, for giving me your time today. It's really great to talk to you about what's going on and how we're adapting to this new environment that we're finding ourselves in right now. So, why don't you give us a few words about who you are, what you do, what you're all about?
Cool. Thanks for having me, Michelle. I live up near Niagara Falls. I'm up in Canada. My dad, two daughters. Business-wise, I am a real estate investor. I operate something called the Epic Living Academy, where I'm an Epic Living coach, where I help people kind of figure shit out, figure out what they want to do and how to help them get it. And recently, probably about half a year now, I've been venturing into e-commerce. So those are some of the things that I have on the go right now.
All right, nice. So, as we were talking just before we get on camera here, this is such an uncertain time, uncharted territory. It kind of, at least I think we saw it coming, but we didn't expect it to get to what it did, and
Hmm.
we're all, it's been a while now that we've kind of been self-isolating, and things have been closed, shut down,
Yeah.
and some small businesses have had to close their doors temporarily. And so people from corporations working at home, and then of course the kids. When we first started out, it was March
Yeah.
break, so fine, everybody anticipated the kids were going to be home from school.
Yeah.
Then it was announced 2 more weeks, so that was fine, and now it's been
12 more
announced that it's
weeks.
going until the beginning of May. So
Yeah.
we've got the whole online learning that the boards are all frantically trying to figure
Yeah.
out what to do about.
Yeah.
So I think for some of us, we got into the fear. At least I know I did at first, because when sports get canceled, you know that it's serious. Like that's huge, right?
That's massive. That's for sure. Yeah. And I I'm pretty good at kind of putting the earmuffs on and kind of filtering out the noise. And I'll be honest with you, I got kind of late to the game with this thing. I'm usually one of the last people to know about like news. And like I knew about it, but I
Yes,
didn't know the extent of it. And usually I kind of like downplay a lot of these things. Up until I was about to travel, and my travel ended up getting affected by it, and I had to cancel like 3 trips. I
I
was
think you
actually,
were going to conference or
yeah, I was actually on my way to California the next day. So a lot of like the extra news, like the critical major announcements, came on like on a Thursday,
that
basically
was the
saying,
NBA. That was the NBA was
yeah,
Thursday.
and then
Yeah.
that was the trigger of everything. And I was actually supposed to travel the next day. So
Oh, I
like,
think I saw your post on
yeah,
Facebook
so I
talking
had to
about it.
like
Yeah.
scatter and like I'm like and it was at that point, and this was like last minute after all these announcements. It's like, wow, okay, this is major. Like I can filter out this as much as I can, but now this is affecting me. Like
You directly,
I
yes.
can't do this as a result of that, right? And I'm like, do I still go because I already have the tickets? Like, am I even able to go? Like with all the bands and all the stuff, and do I get a refund? Like, who gives me a refund? Do I get a credit? I'm like, yeah. So that's kind of where I was at. So yeah. So since then, like I've like switched gears. I'm like, okay, like I need to really kind of keep an eye on what's going on here, type of thing. And I have a responsibility to make sure I'm healthy, my kids are healthy, my parents are healthy, they're aging, obviously,
Right.
and so yeah, I'm full on, the self isolation, doing my best. Really the only times I go out are like when I need food. So I
Food,
try to
yes.
limit that, where instead of like going to the grocery store multiple times a week, which I used to do, now I try to like plan out a little further in advance and buy a little extra so it lasts me longer so I don't have to go as often. So
Right. And that's what we are supposed to be doing as well. And
Yeah.
like I was saying on a previous interview, before, if I was making something or I wanted to make something, looked at the recipe and I was missing like one ingredient or something
Yeah.
like that, it was nothing to just run to the store,
Same. I would do
grab it
that.
and go. But now
Yeah.
that's not the same. It's a
Right.
whole it's a whole safety issue, and
Right.
keeping your
Yeah.
distance,
Yeah.
perhaps lining up outside of the store.
Yeah.
Maybe not for you. I'm in Toronto, so
Yeah,
you know.
it's been pretty weird. I'll be honest with you, kind of going out during this. Like, they've got the lines taped at the
Yep.
checkout aisle. They've got the plexiglass, and it's weird. Like people going out of their way to like not talk to you and walk around you, and that's just a weird feeling. But at the same time,
It
what
is.
I do like to see is when I'm outside. Like I still go out for my walks. I have a dog. I still take we go for a walk. It's not like we're around people. We're out and about. So it
Right.
is kind of cool to see more people out now, like
Oh, and
like
there are.
walking the trails or walking at the beach. Like that's a cool thing, and I hope that carries over after this all passes of, like this shit's important. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I like seeing that.
I think that a lot of people who said, "Oh, I want to make time for walking every day,"
Yeah.
or back when there were New Year's resolutions back in January, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
People would say, "I want to do it, but I don't have time." Now you've got the time, you
Yep.
don't have an excuse. And I think people, as a result, are going outside and they're actually appreciating nature,
Yeah.
noticing the birds chirping and the squirrels. And now now we're in full spring. Now it's April, right?
I
Today's
know.
April.
Yep.
Yes, yes, we were supposed to be at Haste and Hustle today.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I sent Shauna a message. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
So,
it'll happen again. So,
oh, it will happen
so
for
it's
sure.
given me like a really good opportunity to do more stuff with my kids. Like I'm usually pretty active with the kids, but like on my list of things that I wanted to do more of was a little bit of homeschooling, right? A little bit more of it. Now the pendulum swung way to the other end of like,
Yes,
it's like, oh shit, now they're home and now I have to create some stuff for them to do. And at the beginning, like I had a tough time like kind of balancing um keeping them occupied and keeping them learning, because it's great. Like I love teaching them the other stuff that they don't get to learn in school.
right.
um, but at the same time, I have to balance that with my business, right? So at the beginning, I struggled with it for a bit, but now I've got a pretty good schedule down. I get my girls to help us help create a schedule together for the next day. I help them. No, they help create the curriculum for the next day. I love this form of learning for kids. Like, what do you guys want to learn? What are you interested in? And then how do you think that we can learn that? We go through a schedule and figure out what we do here. And throughout the day, we have like exercise in there, and it's good. Like that part, like I really enjoy. So, these last
Right.
couple days, like I've really felt that, I have a good balance of I'm engaging them and creating learning experiences for them, as well at the same time, like I'm still able to do, my business stuff, because there's some major things that were going on in my business. Like I just I just sold a house like last Friday. It just closed. Like, so I was telling you
Last
before the
Friday, just was?
call.
Or,
Yeah,
oh,
last Friday, right? So
oh.
I had to adapt. Like I had to push the closing date up, because there's a lot of unpredictability. Like, I got a good offer and I didn't want it to fall through, and they wanted the house, and anything could happen at any time. So we're like, all right, let's get this closed sooner.
Right.
Um, and business wise, like you have to adapt now. So I have rental properties. So you have to assume, like, so you have tenants. Probably a good amount of those tenants had jobs that they're probably not going to right now, which
Right.
means they're not getting paid, which
They don't have
means
the money.
they might not be able to pay rent. So I was able to get rent from a good amount of them for April, but come May, it's going to be very difficult. So what I did is
Right.
like I proactively reached out to like my mortgage companies, and they have some flexibility where they can put the mortgage payments, defer the mortgage
Yeah,
payments.
the government
Yeah, I
and all the
mean,
banks announced all that.
yeah,
Yeah,
you pay a little
yeah.
bit more interest on the term of the mortgage, but you know,
But based on what?
because
Interest rates are so
because
low now.
right, it's not much, but you
So
just the more you
you're
defer your
different.
mortgage,
Yeah.
the more interest you pay, right?
But
So
they are at the lowest they've ever been too. And
exactly, yeah,
if if you have, at least it's giving you the opportunity, because like you say, your renters are not, if they're not being paid, they might have an extra month to
yeah,
carry them through,
yeah,
but they're not going to have a few months
yeah.
necessarily.
And then
Yeah.
on the e-commerce front, like so I recently, started a new business. I launching product, and it's just about to go live, and then this hits, and then it's like, oh shit, people won't have as much money to spend, and they have other priorities, and so it puts things on hold for a bit, and you have to adapt. It's here, it's not going away. So now what? Right?
Right.
So there are
Yeah.
there and there are opportunities when things like this happen as well, which, you know, kind of, the wheels are turning, figuring stuff out. And so
Right. This is the time to think outside the box when it comes down to your business. And
yeah.
like I was listening to another webinar earlier, this is when the innovation happens.
Hmm.
This is when innovative products or concepts or whatever are created. And
Yeah.
actually, they one webinar said this: you're going to see some billionaires are going to be created out of this,
Yeah. I
because they're
think
going to
because
come
it
up with
forces
some,
us. Yeah, it forces us to think differently now. And when you have a
yeah,
different thought process, it's like, oh, I didn't see that before. And combine that with, now you have time and space. Like we don't have as much busyness around us. So now you notice those thoughts a little bit more, and it's like you can do something with those thoughts. Whereas before, those thoughts were still there. They just get drowned out by all the noise around us all the time.
right. Because we were always rushing to go to somewhere, thinking of, you have to do this and go here
Yeah.
and get there by a certain time and that kind of thing. And of course, put in their traffic,
Yeah.
and then it was always on the go and rushing. So
Yeah.
now we've been forced to slow down,
Yeah.
and we have the time to look inside of ourselves as well,
Mhm.
and just be present and revisit what you're doing with respect to your business, but also with respect to your health and daily habits
Yeah.
and things like that. This is the time to revisit. And also, if there was anything that was on your list of things that you always wanted to try,
Right. Yeah.
but said you've never had the time,
Yeah.
again, now
Yeah.
you've got the time.
So health wise, yeah, you hit it bang on. And unfortunately, most of us wait for something major to happen in our lives before we do something about it.
Right,
A lot of us are reactive as opposed to proactive. Well, we have to react to this now. It's here. So now what? Right.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, you hit it bang on with like the daily habits, and um, like all of this is important because there's a virus out there, and you want to have your immunity strong, so you could either repel that virus, or if you get it, if you have a strong immune system, it helps you recover better from that.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm trying my best to kind of stick to my normal habits. My so I got like a morning routine where I wake up, and I've been pretty disciplined with my meditation practice, and still get the exercise in with the girls, the bike rides, the walks. So obviously I can't go to my fitness club where I used to go. So we have to figure out new ways to do stuff, right? My
right,
daughters, they downloaded these apps for their devices where it's got like a 7-minute workout, right? So throughout the day, like they did up the schedule, and in between some of the different learnings throughout the day, yeah, the part of it is like an exercise routine, or I have a trampoline in my backyard, and we all go out there and like jump together and stuff, right? Yeah, so like eating healthy, like it's more important now than ever. And what's funny is my most viral post ever was like 2 days ago, So I went and visited Farmer Joe. So usually he's at a local farmer's market in Niagara. He's just a good dude. So obviously the farmer's market's closed now, and it's awesome. Like I would check in with him to see how he's doing. I'd call him. I'd say, "Hey Joe, I miss you. You know, how you doing?" He's like, "Oh Mike, yeah, you should come. You know, I still have a farm stand." And so yeah, like 2 days ago, I drove out there. I got my eggs, I got my vegetables, I got my sauerkraut, all the things that I normally get. Um, yeah, and then like usually I snap a picture of them and then just like put a post on Facebook of, hey, you know, here's Joe. He has awesome stuff, right? I did that the other day, and like people shared it and shared it, shared it. Last time I checked, there was like 320 shares. So
Oh,
everybody
wow.
like in Niagara like is sharing it, right? And there's all these comments there of, yeah, Joe's the best. And I called him yesterday. I'm like, Joe, you're an internet sensation here. Like you're going viral. He's like, what are you talking about? You know, I'm reading some of the comments to him, and I'm sure it was a good feeling for him as well to hear some of the good words people say about him. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Right.
yeah, it's interesting times. Things, you know, like extra things that you have to do, you know, to help you minimize the likelihood of you getting the disease. Like, so even like when you go to the grocery store, like I've been watching videos of, okay, well, now that you're at the grocery store, you know, just know that the virus can still be there. So when you bring the foods home, just, you know, you spray them, wipe them, you know, clean off your counters, and just err on the side of washing your hands a lot more than you normally would. So
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's what everybody is doing, and which means if anybody has hand lotion company,
uh,
they would be doing quite well
yeah,
because your
and you know
hands are so
what? Like,
dry from washing them.
yeah, and and like there's opportunities here. Like I have some
Oh, for
friends
sure.
that they bought into the Zoom stock. That's what we're doing this recording on right now. I think Zoom went up like 25 or 30%.
It actually, I think it went up 63%.
It's up, yeah,
At least from its low,
yeah.
from its 52-week low.
Hmm.
It was yeah, yeah.
And if you
No,
think about it, and you're ahead of the curve on things like that, like in hindsight, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, but what happens is most people get so distracted by the noise in the news, and we talked about this a little earlier, that oh, my dog's
right.
trying to get in. One
Oh,
second. Oh, hey girl, come on in, lady. Hey girl. Yeah, so
yeah.
they get so distracted by all that noise and news and fear and all that stuff that they didn't get a chance to kind of think about, well, all right, so what's gonna thrive during times like these?
Right. They just focus. If you
Yeah,
have the news on and you're watching all day,
yeah,
then that's where it's all going in your subconscious, and that's just going to keep going around in circles, and that's all you keep thinking about, and
yeah,
you can't see the
yeah.
bigger picture.
So it's great you're doing these interviews, and this is what I've found. Like it's so awesome to see people just reaching a hand out, you know, calling people and just seeing how they're doing, and just so much giving I'm noticing over the last couple of weeks, which, you
Oh,
know,
there is
people
for
offering
sure.
their programs for free, and calls and webinars, and it's so awesome to see. And in my opinion, like I think it helps to drown out some of the other bad stuff. So for me, like in social media, like I don't see a lot of the other stuff. Like I mean, for me, like I don't watch the news. So part of it's good and part of it's not good. Like, you know, I should really be in the loop a little bit more, but at the same time, like you can really go down the dark side here and just
Oh,
get sucked
definitely.
into this thing, and then
Oh,
fear and
yeah.
all that stuff comes up, and it's not
Yeah.
good, you
Yeah,
know?
no, and then it becomes contagious, the
Yeah.
whole fear and panic
Yeah,
and
and the thing is like that affects your immune system, which
oh,
increases
definitely.
the likelihood of you getting it. So
So it's
it's
like a vicious circle.
yeah. Oh, hey,
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's the best medicine as such is besides the, healthy eating and drink lots of water,
Yeah,
but a positive mindset as well, and
yeah,
vibrating at a higher level, like positivity. Love is the highest frequency, right?
yeah,
On the
yeah,
vibrational scale. So
yeah.
whereas fear is way down there. So
Right.
it's going to help boost your immune system.
And connection and relationship. So these calls that you're doing,
Yeah.
this is great. Like, even though we're not in person, like physically, like this is the next best thing, right? Like you can still at
Yeah,
least see
no,
the person, you can hear a voice, right?
yeah,
So
this has been great. This Zoom technology. We're doing our online, the Fem City networking group that I lead in
yeah,
Etobicoke. We're doing it now online.
yeah,
And it's great because we can do that. We can connect, and
right.
it's very important that we all come together as a community, especially now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what we are doing. We're coming together as a community, so as is the whole world, right?
right. Yeah,
It's a global, community where
yeah,
we're all working together for the greater good for
yeah.
humanity, really.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me on here and doing these calls. I want to tune into to more of these calls.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for your time, Mike. It was great to talk to you.
Yeah,
And like I say, we just see everybody serving now. Everybody's serving and helping each other out a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. It's
And
in times
that's,
like these where we have to do that. And this is where, like you really see humanity, like this, some other tragic events like they happen in other places and you don't see it as much, like you hear about it a bit, but this one, like I'm in it, like I can feel it, and I can see people, reaching out and changing their focus from how do I sell this product to let's just give this shit away because I know that it'll help someone, you know either get better or feel better, which is super cool to see.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That's true. All
So
right.
I
Okay. Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much for coming on here, and stay safe
You as
and,
well. Thank you
stay
very much.
healthy.
All right.
Thank you. Like,
See you.
all right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.